What are the key books in the Old Testament and in the New Testament? This is what I would say. I would say in the Old Testament, you need to start with Genesis because that lays the foundation. You get the beginning of the story. You find out who Abraham is, Isaac is, Jacob is. You need to know who these characters are because God is going to use their lives later on to teach biblical concepts or theology. And so you need to know what happened to these people, just like my example with Joseph in the last podcast. If you don't know the story of Joseph, the discussion around how his life mirrored the Lord Jesus Christ is going to fall flat. You're not going to know what I'm talking about. But really, if you read through Genesis and then roughly the first 19 chapters of Exodus, you find out, who the children of Israel are. You find out how they became a nation. You find out how they went into captivity in Egypt and then came out of that captivity. You read the book of Joshua, you find out how they entered into the conquest and entered into the promised land of Canaan. And then you really don't need much else in the Old Testament until you get to the book of Daniel, when they're taken out of the land of Canaan, off into the captivity into Babylon. And the book of Daniel is a very, very key book in the Old Testament because it gives you a framework to understand what is a pre-captivity book or a book that's written before the captivity of Daniel, and a post-captivity book, which books were written after the captivity of Daniel, the Babylonian captivity. And so you start to have this framework. And then the other thing Daniel does